What happens when your son or daughter, a proud card-carrying member of the public school system, is suspended twice in the same month? Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Laura.
And this is Family 412. This is a brand new YouTube channel that we wanted to start pretty much just to talk about the different things that are going on in our lives.
Because there's a lot.
Because there's a lot. There's a lot for sure. Well, first of all, let's explain where the 412 comes from. It comes from the Bible, Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 12. That says, a threefold cord is not easily broken. Our family is made up of three, myself, Laura, and our 12-year-old son, Riker. And we've been through a myriad of adventures all throughout our lives, as I'm sure a lot of you have too. Yep. And we're here to talk about that because maybe something that we say can really resonate with you and hit home with you and hopefully help.
Yeah, because, we like to see different families on YouTube too. And one thing that we do notice is there are very few small families represented. There are large families, and we love a large family, but we happen to have a small family, and it's not necessarily by choice, but it's what God intended all along for us. Might not be for forever, but this is where He has us now. We're a family of three, and so we're dedicating our lives to help our one son. And these are some of the struggles that we've been facing with our one son. And no matter how much effort we're putting into him, we're struggling. And it's only through God's guidance that we come out through every situation better than we headed into it.
Let's get to the topic at hand today.
Yeah.
Suspended twice in 1 month. Well, what's going on with that? First of all, it's been really a whirlwind of a week. There's been a lot of different things that have happened. But just a little bit of a background that, our son is in the public school system here in South Carolina where we live.
Seventh grade.
Seventh grade. As I said, he's 12 years old. And up until this point, up until this year, it's been a pretty good experience. I think his elementary years were very positive. He
Ups and downs, but for the most part, pretty good.
Yeah, he went through elementary school. In fact, first grade was the COVID year, 2020, and made it through that, made it through the rest of elementary school just fine, and then went into middle school last year for sixth grade. Totally different experience.
Yeah.
If you remember back to middle school days, they're definitely not easy years.
Now, if there was ever a time that I'm like, no, I'll never, ever, ever repeat that, that would be middle school.
Definitely.
And I was homeschooled, so that's even coming from that viewpoint.
So sixth grade really wasn't that bad for him, but come seventh grade, things started to change a little bit. What happened?
So we started off, it seemed to be fine. We met all the teachers and like, oh, this is actually going to be a better year than sixth grade. And sixth grade wasn't a bad year by any means. He struggled with a couple different teachers that were very hard. And it wasn't like we were getting emails or calls by any means. It was just a couple little things in sixth grade that we got through, and we ended the year with a bang, in a good way. But this year started almost immediately with calls and emails of, okay, your son loves to talk. Like, yeah, that's not news to us. He loves to talk. He likes to talk to his friends. He likes to talk to his teachers, and sometimes out of turn. I'm like, okay, well, we discussed with Riker, let's not talk when the teacher's talking. Let's not talk when there's a test to be had, and there should be silence. And he's got a stress ball that he's able to, just squeeze and play around with. He had permission all last year to have this, and that lasted for all of, I know it didn't last for a complete week. I think it was about 4 days. And by Friday, I'm like, Riker, where's that? It looked like a construction hat. It was a stress thing. And he's like, oh, a teacher told me to not use it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. And that whole week, we actually hadn't had a single phone call and email. This was week 2 of school. So we had those in week 1, but not in week 2. Week 3, it just started again with the emails, with the calls of, okay, he's a disruption. But as I would ask the questions of how is he a disruption, it was never that he was mean. It was never that he was mean-spirited. It was he would blurt out the answer, which I realized maybe he shouldn't have done that. Like they're writing the question on the board and he's going to blurt out the answer instead of raising his hand. And it was in email form. The teacher said, to his credit, he was helping another student. Like, I'm not going to discipline my kid for helping another student. I realize you said quiet, and he should be made aware that he shouldn't be talking, but he's helping another student.
Right.
Okay, so in the instance of, okay, we know you're supposed to never cross a busy road, right? What if there's someone dying in the middle of that busy road? Are you going to break the street law and rush to that person to save them? Now, this might be an extreme
It's a good example though, yeah.
But we're going to break a law to help save one. And I liken that to this. There are sometimes rules need to be broken. And where is that line? And this is kind of where we come to an impasse this week.
So let's back up a little bit. Yeah. Let's set the stage here. What kind of young man is Riker?
He's social. He's a social butterfly.
He's creative.
Very creative. And he will make friends with a little 2-year-old. And he will make friends with a 30, 40-year-old, 30 or 40-year-old. And I love that about him. We get remarks from neighbors be like, wow, I had just the best conversation with your son. And he is just so respectful. And, he said hi and how you doing and asked about a situation and all. And we're proud of that young man he's becoming.
He likes to talk. He likes to get to know people. He likes to help people. He likes to think outside of the box.
Yes.
And I think that's where a lot of the issue kind of comes in here. We'll get to that in just a second. But you were a teacher in the past. I mean, teaching is certainly no small chore. Teaching is hard work. I've never been a teacher. I've never been in the education system, but we've got a lot of great respect for them. They work hard. They put up with a lot. They deal with a lot.
Yes, I have friends that are fabulous teachers, and we love schools. And I'm friends with teachers in our current school system. And I was a teacher for only 3 years, but I miss it. I stopped being a teacher because unfortunately the school closed that I taught at. And I mean, that's a long story there, where that was one of the things that kind of brought us to a new state. I taught in the Pennsylvania school system. A private school, I taught art, theater, and culinary from K through 12. And
so you definitely had the middle school experience.
I actually preferred the middle school experience.
Really? Now, middle school we often hear is a very tough age, and it was for me years ago. But why? Why is middle school a tough age, and why, as you said, did you prefer teaching that age group?
I actually, ironically, preferred teaching that age group because I like to listen to the kids.
Okay.
So there was a group of
in other words, they talk.
They talked, and I let them talk. And given I wasn't teaching algebra, I was teaching art, culinary, and theater to these kids. And I vividly remember one of my favorite days. It's art class, and this was a small class environment, and it was about 10 kids, and 9 of those 10 kids were girls, and there was one lone boy. And the girls just talked about their lives right now and some boy troubles that they had. And I talked back with them, and I taught the class. I was able to teach. I wasn't, just talking with them. I taught the class, and then I let them talk as they worked.
Now, this is, as you said, it's more of a creative arts kind of thing,
Yes.
so creativity
And so I
has to come
totally
out.
understand. It's
Of
a little
course,
different.
of course. But the point of the matter is they're kids, and a 12-year-old boy or girl or anyone around that age is going to talk.
Yes.
They're going to express themselves as best they can. So getting back to what we had been saying in our particular situation, in just 2 short months, as Laura had just said, we've had a lot of instances that we consider pretty minor. They're not minor to the school, obviously, because they had to exercise disciplinary actions against him. But things really started to go south, no pun intended, this week.
Yes.
What happened this week?
So we got an email this week from his teacher, and the one teacher that has about 90% of the detentions have come from. And she said that his phone had gone off in class, and he asked permission to go and silence it. It is in the handbook, and it's a rule in the school to have your phone on silent and stay in your backpack. And so he asked to go to his backpack and silence it. And this was all in the email that he did so, and then he told another student to shut up, and she wrote him up for this. And
well, obviously you don't go around saying shut up to anybody, of course.
And that was our first question.
Right.
Who was the student, and why did he say shut up? So, but there's usually a reason to say it in earnest. And
it didn't seem as if the teacher really got to, all that to say, that didn't seem that the teacher really got down to that, level to see what happened here.
It was never asked.
Right.
And there was a little miscommunication because she said she was going to be calling that evening. So we had organized for the next day to talk. Before that could happen, we got a call from the administration and the certain individual in charge of 7th grade. And he seemed very much unaware of the situation. And so, because I asked the questions. I asked, what were the circumstances behind it? He said that he was going to be talking to Riker and the other individual that day. So we kind of left it. Okay, we'll let you investigate this. And I feel like you can take over from here because because he then called you.
Yes, he did. And I happened to have a very long day. This was a few days ago on Thursday, and I happened to have a very long day, but made time in the middle of the day to actually talk to him. Now, as we were discussing, our son has had a number of write-ups. They call them write-ups. And that could be pretty much for anything. It's at the teacher's discretion of how they write out, as we find out, how they write up and what they write them up for. After a certain number, you receive a lunch detention, which means during the lunch hour, you sit in a section pretty much all by yourself and with the other students.
Stop you there. That's not true.
That's not true. So you know more about this than I do because you're the one that's actually getting the calls and the emails. But after a certain number,
it's
correct?
After a certain number, you have in-school suspension.
Okay.
You
all
only
right.
need one to have lunch detention.
That's correct. You're right.
Yeah.
So lunch detention is, as I said, just kind of sitting by yourself with the other students, basically silent. You eat for 30 minutes or however long lunch is, and then you go back to class. Okay. It's not fun, but whatever. After 4 write-ups, 3 write-ups, you receive an in-school suspension?
Correct.
Okay.
I was under the impression it was 4, but doing the math and seeing the evidence, it's 3.
In-school suspension is also not fun. That's the next level as things escalate. After 3, where you basically sit in a box all day in silence, again with the other students who have committed whatever they've done to deserve that. The teachers will bring you work throughout the day so you have something to work on, but certainly it's not a pleasant experience at all. Riker...
From what we hear, it sounds more like prison.
Yes. Riker, our son, had an ISS, an in-school suspension, about a month ago, around the middle of September, for these instances, for talking out of turn, and and that's really what it was. It was.
Yeah.
We're reading. We have the notes right in front of us.
Yeah,
It's
disrupting class.
disrupting class, talking out of turn, and okay, Riker, let's reel this in. Let's see how we can get through this and go from there. Let's make sure that this doesn't happen. So as it persisted, you come to find out a couple days ago that he's receiving another in-school suspension, and that's kind of
email, yeah.
Right, and that's kind of where the story takes over, where I had spoken to the 7th grade administrator and said, what's going on here? Why are we not getting to the bottom of really what's going on? And, after about a 20-minute or so conversation, which was a very good conversation, he handled it very well. He's a younger guy, to my knowledge, and he handled it very well, very professionally, I thought. But really, by the end of it, I was still very confused as far as what our future might be in this. It's only October. He's got over 7 months left in the school year. He's already got, the record shows 8, but it's actually only 6 because there's mistakes on here. Something happened with administration and they messed it up.
Some things were put twice.
Some things were put twice for whatever reason. One of them happened to be on the day where he was in his first in-school suspension, which makes no sense to me, but things happen, clerical errors. But it was basically deemed that Riker would have another in-school suspension. And this is a really unique situation. I actually asked the principal, I said, okay, why don't we try something different here? Is it possible that he can stay home tomorrow instead of serving in-school suspension? And he thought, well, I've never had a request like that. That's a really strange request, because out-of-school suspension would be the next step, and usually it's given in maybe 2 or 3 day blocks depending on the incident, but I've never had anybody ask that. And I said, well, here's why. I would rather him stay home here and thrive in an environment where he can still learn, he can still be with us, people who love him and care about him, rather than sit in a box all day in dead silence. And I get that it's a punishment, I understand that. But I just am at the point where let's just keep him home.
Yeah, I mean,
let him stay home, give him an out-of-school suspension. It'll be on his record, we get that, but
so will in school.
Of course, of course, that'll be on his record too. And he said, all right, well, let me talk to the assistant principal, see what he says. Again, I've never had this request before. Let's see what happens. So you receive a call from the assistant principal about 2 or 3 hours later.
Yes, and it was very cold. That said that talked, and it is what it is. It's not going to change. This was the law, and this is how we're going to go about doing it. And I realized in that moment that no matter what we said, no matter the circumstances, there was no flexibility. There was no grace. And I then asked him, can you please read off the instance in the
instances?
the
incidences.
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 Can you please read off the incidences that happened so that we can have a better understanding?
Well, in fact, we've got it right here.
Well, but even here, though, this was what he read off to me. And when he started off, and this is exactly what was given to us, and this was what he read off, when it says disrupting class. That's all the description that's given. And I stopped him. I said, do you have the specifics? And he said, no. I said, so it really is up to the teacher's discretion then to what constitutes a disruption in class. And he said, yes. And I paused and I'm like, okay, it really could be anything then. And you trust, and I do, believe me, I do know that these are good teachers. But you are having to trust that the teacher's not having the worst day possible is I know for me, in those 3 years, I had some really tough days where I was probably a little bit more disciplined with the kids than I would be on a day where I'm well rested and I'm able to take in more. So the kid could be doing exactly what they do every day, and it just could be that day
Sure.
that the teacher's having a bad day and is going to write them up. So that's one issue. And two, clearly this isn't working. I said these instances, these issues are persisting. If anything, they're getting worse. So he had an in-school suspension, and he's having these lunch detentions, and it's continuing. So
And let's be clear here, there's no physical violence.
No.
There's no verbal threats.
Nope.
There's no pushing, there's no shoving, there's
No physical contact.
just, defacing property on the school grounds or textbooks or computers or anything like that. There's none of that. It's simply talking.
Yes. And I said, I am fully aware we need to show respect. And he's been told many times to show respect to his elders, to show respect to his teachers. And yes, we need to work on that. But clearly, what they're doing isn't working if it's persisting. And he wasn't listening to me. Mm-hmm. I never felt that he fully understood, because he said, this is how it is. You can see in the handbook, there is, I forget the term that he used, but just basically, show respect, and that's it. And there's a certain policy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no tolerance.
Yes.
Kind of like
yes.
like a
no
tolerance
there's a
policy.
no tolerance policy, and that's it. There's no second chance.
Nope. Follow the rules or get out.
And so my response was, well, then I'm really sad to say this, but we're going to homeschool and discipline in our own way then.
And that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
That conversation on Thursday afternoon, 2 days ago, was the end of our public school journey.
Yeah.
We're done with public school. And again, this is not all to bash the public school system. There are a lot of great public school systems out there.
And we had an amazing time in elementary school.
We did.
And we had all high hopes. We actually might go back for high school. We'll see how it is. We might love homeschool and be like, we're going to stay here.
I have a feeling he will.
We'll see. But what we're showing is we're realizing the cookie cutterness of, and if you know what I do for a living, that's kind of ironic to say, but it really is. They feel one size fits all. This is a no tolerance. If you veer outside the lines, you're going to be penalized. And, something else I said to him was, we don't want a military school. We don't want to instill where, silence is the answer. And I said, I don't know your generation, but I grew up where we always heard, children should be seen and not heard. And I hate that. Not to completely diss different generations, but that is one thing I never want to follow with. I love hearing my kid.
That's right.
And I want to hear his voice. I don't want it to be shut off.
So we're done. We're done. What comes next? Well, we made the decision to homeschool. We're going to be beginning that in just a couple days, and we were blessed by somebody really wonderful that we know with some materials that I think are going to suit him very, very well. Very well.
We're looking into co-ops. It's kind of hard in mid-season, but we will definitely be trying and seeing what is available to us. We didn't expect to do this.
No.
So it was literally Thursday. I am running around.
Right.
And what do we do now?
And we had looked into it for probably the last month or two or so, just out of curiosity, because
when these started, we were wondering.
Because we thought, what would happen if we were to do that? We thought, well, do we ride out the rest of 7th grade? That's another several months. and let's try homeschooling him in 8th grade. Or maybe things will have improved by the end of the year and we don't even have to go that route.
Right.
But they didn't. They got worse.
No.
They got a lot worse. And we were tired of it. Sometimes life takes you in a direction that you're not expecting in a matter of a day or two.
Yeah.
And something that was very familiar to you for a lot of years, the way you've done something forever seemingly, has to change. And we know that God is with us through these changes.
Mm-hmm.
And that threefold cord is not easily broken. The family that He's made us, the things that we've endured throughout our lives. And there's more, and please stay tuned. We'll be sharing more things and more videos to come.
We have lots of stories. And you know what? We're at a place in our lives that we're realizing, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't keep these stories to ourselves.
The reason we're doing this video now is because it's very timely. These events just happened a few days ago, and he's going to be entering into homeschool right here at home on Monday.
Yeah.
And we wanted to give it from the perspective of kind of the transitionary period. What happens when you leave public school and then go into that homeschool setting, or whatever setting you decide to go? It'll be different for everyone.
Yeah.
But I know he's really looking forward to it. He'll have more fresh air. He'll have more sunshine. It's tough to sit in a room all day.
Yeah.
Or, at school all day and not be able to move around much or talk much or see daylight.
I know I was extremely surprised to learn he gets outdoor lunch 1 week out of the month. It's 2 weeks off, 1 week out. And even they're not able to run around. It's just at least they're out in fresh air.
Right.
And to go from recess every day in elementary school to not even seeing the sun at all.
Mm-hmm.
And he even remarked as we left the building yesterday, wow, it even looks like a prison. And I was like, can't argue with that.
Again, public school works for a lot of people.
It does, yes.
There are a lot of great ones out there. Use your own discretion, what's worked for you and what hasn't worked for you. So thank you so much for watching this today. I hope it really helped you a lot. Maybe you're going through a very similar situation that we're going through right now. You're frustrated with the public school system. You're kind of at your wit's end about what to do. Maybe you want to take your children out of public school and homeschool them, or put them in a private school, or maybe a co-op, or something along those lines. Everybody's different, and what works for one may not work for the other.
Or maybe you're like us and you're just along for the ride and you have no idea what's going to happen next. And you would just like to see a couple that is exactly like that. We have zero plans, but we have a path that we'd like to go on. We're led by God.
That's right.
No matter what.
That's right. Well, we'll hope you'll come back. If you've got any comments, drop them in there. We'd love to read them and love to hear about your experiences as well. We have no idea what's coming next, do we?
Nope.
But I'm sure it'll be good.
And it'll be an adventure.
That's right. See you.
Bye.